today.
Thank you, Ruth. Appreciate it. Ruth is a homie. Love it. Merry late Christmas and upcoming Happy New Year. I know that everyone probably had some great Christmas celebrations, some good food, some good times, but it is December 28th. Christmas is over, okay? So we're talking about New Year's, and with New Year's, we got to hit on New Year's resolutions, okay? We're talking about New Year's resolutions. I hear some groans in the room already, okay? I want to share with you a little bit of my personal roller coaster journey with New Year's resolutions. About 3 years ago, just coming out of COVID, I was trying to get back into shape, and because nobody exercised during COVID, right? And I discovered this Instagram account called Knees Over Toes. I don't know if anyone's heard of that. It's about like rehab and strengthening your joints. And the guy had all these knee issues, but now he can dunk a basketball. And so I got really ambitious and excited. It's like, you know what? My New Year's resolution for 2020, I forget what year it was, 2022 or something. My resolution is going to be to dunk a basketball again. Okay? Again, I used to be able to. I'm telling you, you might not look at me and believe me, but I used to be able to a long time ago. So that was my goal. Next year, that was no longer my goal because I had a reality check and realized it isn't possible, okay? And so my goal for the next year was, hey, I just need to play basketball consistently. I want to at least stay competitive. I want to be able to run. I want to impress the young people, okay? The next year, my resolution was, just occasionally I should exercise in some way, shape, even if it's just walking, maybe a couple jumping jacks, it's bar slightly lowering. This year, my hope is that I can stand up without groaning or making grunting noises. So the bar has fallen quite a bit, but I'm trying to be realistic. I know my limits, okay? People respond to resolutions differently, talk about it. It can be exciting, it can be fun, but I feel like there's a spectrum of how people respond to New Year's resolutions, all right? You can either be on the kind of over-planning side. You're overachieving. You already have your vacations booked. You already have like plans and goals that you want to achieve and things you're going to do and a step-by-step plan of how you're going to do it, and you're running after it. Or you have your other side. Instead of over-planned, you have the overwhelmed, all right? We got a slide for that? Yeah. We have your overplanners and you have your overwhelmed. These are the people who you're looking back on this year and you're just like, I am barely making it this year. I don't know how I can start thinking about next year. You already feel like you're behind. Maybe you feel like you're drowning. You're exhausted. You're looking at all the things that you still need to do and you're responsible for. And you're like, how am I supposed to start thinking about next year? Okay? You're discouraged, disappointed, feeling tired, maybe even hopeless. But wherever you find yourself on that spectrum, overwhelmed or excited, looking forward, all these goals to achieve, I think there's a chance that you might be forgetting something. So I want to invite you into the ancient art of remembering. Ancient art of remembering God. Okay? I want to bring us back to a passage way back in the Old Testament, in the Hebrew Scriptures. And in the context of this passage is an invitation to remember God, okay? And it's God speaking to the people of Israel. And this is toward the end of their 40 years in the wilderness where they've been wandering for a long time. They're already out of Egypt. They already got rescued and they're wandering. And they're just preparing now to transition across the Jordan River into the land of Canaan, all right? So in this time of transition where they're getting ready to move forward, God wants to speak to the people. And the people, there's going to be some people here who are excited. I'm tired of wandering in the wilderness. I'm ready for all the things that we have in store. I want to go get it. I want to go find my piece of land, build my house. I want to accomplish something. But then you probably got people also who are in that crowd like, okay, I don't know what's in store. I don't know what it's going to look like. People who are scared, nervous even, for change, for the new thing, the new year, the new land. So God speaks to these people, and he has Moses speak to them in the book of Deuteronomy, and he invites them to remember, okay? Let me read for us from Deuteronomy chapter 8, verses 2 through 18, and this is a condensed version. It's a long passage, so I've condensed it a bit. And it begins in verse 2. Remember how the Lord your God led you through the wilderness for these 40 years. For all these 40 years, your clothes did not wear out, and your feet didn't blister or swell. So obey the command of the Lord your God by walking in his ways and fearing him. For the Lord your God is bringing you into a good land. It is a land where food is plentiful and nothing is lacking. When you have eaten your fill, be sure to praise the Lord your God for the good land he has given you. But that is the time to be careful. Beware that in your plenty you do not forget the Lord your God and disobey his commands, regulations, and decrees that I'm giving you today. Do not become proud at that time and forget the Lord your God, who rescued you from slavery in the land of Egypt. Do not forget that he led you through the great and terrifying wilderness with its poisonous snakes and scorpions, where it was so hot and dry. He gave you water from the rock. He fed you with manna in the wilderness, a food unknown to your ancestors. He did all this so you would never say to yourself, I have achieved this wealth with my own strength and energy. Remember the Lord your God. The main Hebrew word for the word remember is zakar. Repeat after me. Say zakar. So this word zakar, remember, it's used most often in the context of talking about God. And so it's all over the Old Testament of God remembering. There's times where it tells us to remember, but it's usually applied to God. And it's not just a kind of reminiscing, like thinking about stuff or thinking of the good old days or lingering on stuff. It's a kind of remembering that leads to action. So whenever it says God remembered, like with Abraham, God remembered Abraham, and then he rescued his nephew Lot. Or God remembered Noah, and then he sent the winds and the water receded from the flood. Whenever God is remembering, it leads to an action. And so when God is speaking to the people of Israel, he's saying, I want you to remember in a way that changes how you live, all right? We're about to go into a big transition. We're going to go from wandering in the wilderness to the land of Canaan. But before we move forward, before you do anything silly or reckless or dumb that you're going to regret, I want you to remember. I want you to remember how I rescued you out of slavery. I want you to remember how I have led you through the wilderness. I want you to remember how I've clothed you and fed you and cared for you and protected you from dangers that you saw and that you didn't see. And I want you to remember that I'm leading you to a good place. So he's really trying to help them. Guys, I want you to remember it was me. It was me. I want you to remember what I've done. It's not just you. It's not all about you. Because that's the tendency. When we forget God, when we start forgetting what God has done, it leads to self-absorbed thinking, where it's all about you. Verse 14 says this, do not become proud at that time and forget the Lord your God. Verse 17, he did all this so you would never say to yourself, I have achieved this wealth with my own strength and energy. The passage is really referring to people who become proud and arrogant because they think they did it all, right? But self-absorbed thinking can kind of be two sides of one coin. You have, when it's all about you, you can either become kind of your over-planning overachiever, right? I've done so much, now I got to conquer my next mountain. It's all up to me and make sure that I get what I need, and I got to chase that mountain. I got to build that fortress, just like Jay was talking about last week. Right? I gotta become strong and successful. I have to make a name for myself. I have to become important. I have to create my own safety. At the end of the day, it's all up to your own efforts, and it revolves around your own goals and your own desires. Right? The over-planner, the overachiever. On the other side of self-absorbed thinking is also the overwhelmed. Because the overwhelmed person will just think about themselves and their own inadequacy. They look at the circumstance and think about what they can't do. I can't handle this. I don't have the resources. I don't have the time. I don't have the energy. How am I supposed to overcome all these things? It's so easy to feel like, man, I barely know where I'm at right now. How am I supposed to figure out where I'm supposed to go? I don't know where to go. I don't know how we're going to get there. These are both different kinds of thinking just about yourself. And so the invitation is, instead of just thinking about yourself, self-absorbed thinking, remember God. Because remembering God leads to walking with God. Remembering God leads to walking with God. So to the overplanner, the overachiever, the one who's already running ahead, chasing after their own goals, trying to accomplish things and get what they think they need, the invitation here is slow down. It's never been just what you can accomplish or what you can do. Do you think that you are where you are just because you've done it by yourself? It's not just you making the most of things. Despite all of your efforts, God is the one who's been faithful to unfold his plans in your life. And it's always happened in his timing. You can't rush God's timing, and you can't slow it down either. So the invitation there is to slow down and let God lead you, to go at his pace, to trust that what he has in store for you, what he has planned for you, is far greater, far better for your soul than whatever you had planned and what you could have imagined. Walk with me. Don't run ahead. And then to the overwhelmed, the ones who are kind of struggling to move forward, the ones who feel like they're drowning and discouraged, the invitation is to remember, look how far you've come by the grace of God. He has been faithful. Look at what you've been through and what you've survived. He has been faithful. Remember that he will always continue to be faithful. You're not behind. You're not failing. We can be tempted to look around and see what other people are doing and what's posting on social media or other people's successes and feel like that you're behind. But when we remember God, we remember he has us exactly where he wants us. You are right where you need to be. That's with God. And so the invitation here is to remember and to let go of all your frustrations, to let go of all your expectations you put on yourself, the pressure you put on yourself, and to open your hands, to let God take you by the hand and just take one step. Just one step at a time, step by step, trusting, remembering, God will take me where I need to go. I might not know the way. I might not feel like I have the strength. I might not know how we're going to get there or what it's going to look like. But I can hold your hand and I can take that one step. Because, Lord, you have been faithful. And I trust that you will continue to be faithful. Yeah. So whatever that looks like for you, I want to invite you guys to remember. So how do we remember? How do we zakar? One more time, say it with me. Zakar. How do we remember? Simple invitation. In the next week, couple weeks, or early in the new year, I want to encourage you to take some time to remember. I want to speak just for a second for people who aren't even maybe believers, that you're not someone who identifies as Christian. Remembering is going to be good for all of us. Well, first I want to say, welcome. I'm glad you're here. You're in a church, and that's awesome. That's so cool. We want to get to know you. But the practice of remembering is helpful regardless. It's good to take inventory. It's good to look back, to slow down, remember where you've come from, right? And there's lots of things in this world that help us to do that. Not necessarily Christian, spiritual, biblical things like Spotify Wrapped. You look back on your year and all the things that you've listened to. You remember songs that you forgot about. You remember different seasons of your life where you were drawn to certain music, stuff like that. There's also like a DoorDash Unwrapped. Have you guys seen that? That one's personally discouraging to me. Like, I've spent how much on fast food and boba? Like, oh my gosh, my wife can attest to that. Or like any news outlet, they do these 2025 year in review. They're all things that help us to stop and to remember, to process what happened this year. I want to encourage you guys, take a step beyond that. I would love for you all to take time with people, to get away for a moment, maybe not get away, but even at your house, take some time, commit to it together to remember your year, to look back. A simple little thing you can do is even go through your camera roll, Go back over the months. Scroll back through your phone to the pictures that you've taken this year or people that have sent to you. And remember, what have been the highs? What have been the lows? What's been fun? What's been discouraging? What was a surprise to you, right? Just take back, slow down and look back. But on top of that, I would encourage you to not just remember what happened, but to prayerfully consider, how has God been faithful through all these ups and downs? It's one thing to remember the events, the facts, but then to look back and to see in retrospect how God has been faithful, the fingerprints of his work in your life, the fingerprints of how he's been working things into good that you might not have seen before. How has God taken unfortunate circumstances, things that look like disappointments, and how has he changed them to be actually something good for you? How have you been changed and shaped by the things that you've gone through this year, right? How have you grown closer to things? How have you grown in certain ways, right? Take time to remember God's faithfulness. Let that emerge. And then share. Share with your close ones. Share with your loved ones. Celebrate your journeys and God's faithfulness together. If you want to take it a step further, there's a little activity, a handout that we have for you in the church app. If you download the church app and you click in the Sunday sermon, there'll be a little resource. And it's a handout that Dave Tish put together from South Hills. Shout out South Hills, who it just is a remembrance activity that you can look through. And it really examines your last year, your life in 3 areas: your life with God, your life with others, and your life for the world. And it's a reflective activity for you to just really zone in what's important in this life. Right? But whatever that looks like for you, whether it's with friends or it's alone or it's an activity or it's just, I don't know, even a Wrapped, take time to remember. As we close, I want to invite up the worship team. And I want to share with you a little bit about how I have been reflecting from this past year. I looked through some old photos, I looked through some old emails, and I want to share with you a couple of highlights. Is that cool? First one is this. It's my first day at Westgate Church, all right? I know I look like I'm in middle school or something. Andy Gridley, if you guys know Andy, he's like 7 feet tall, so he took this picture and he's like looking down at me. So cute. First day at Westgate, and I was excited. It was an amazing opportunity. I was so excited to see how I can serve, how I can contribute, how I can learn and grow and use my gifts and skills. Man, and I had so many things I imagined what it would be like. What I didn't expect was that Westgate Church would be a place that my soul was desperately longing for, and I didn't even know it. It was what my heart and soul needed. I didn't know, but God knew. I've only been here about 10 months or so, and already it's been such a restorative, healing journey. The friendships I've made, the mentorship, the leadership, the community, the way that God's been ministering to me. I came thinking, okay, this is the job. I got to do a great job and be a good pastor and be a good leader. But God had prepared for me something that I never could have imagined. Right? Thankful for that. Not too long after my first day at Westgate, my wife and I, we kind of faced like a painful personal circumstance, like external circumstances. This is just a photo that we took during that time. We look somewhat happy, I guess, but we were going through a lot. It really shook us, crushed us in some ways. And looking back, like in one sense, I can say, I'm just glad we're over it. It was a dark and a hard time. I wasn't sure how we'd make it, but I can look back and see how God protected us and He cared for us. But one thing I can really say with conviction is that during this time, God really helped us to clarify and solidify, strengthen what is important for us. He brought us back to our foundation. The verse that comes to mind as I was reflecting on this time of the year was Hebrews 12, where it talks about God shaking the heavens and the earth so that what is unshakable would remain. And I felt like that's what God was doing. He was shaking our lives so that all the other things that we tend to depend on or think is important would fall, and that we would be left with what truly is our anchor and our rock. And God was doing that for us, and it was so important because when I look back, I can see God was preparing us. It was a hard time, but God was preparing us for the most important thing that happened to us this year. We had a baby. We had a baby. We had a baby daughter, and I became a father. And nothing. Thank you for the applause. I had nothing to do with it. It was all my wife. I'll take the applause, so thank you. Nothing could have prepared me for what it would do to me. For how fragile loving this daughter would make me feel. How much I would I've never wanted to love something and be a good person for her than anything else in my entire life. It's given me a whole new reason to live and to want to be better. It's hard for me to even imagine what was the point of life before we had our daughter. And I look at this and I just can't help but feel, God, you have been so faithful. And the joy that we get to live in, the honor that I have to be able to be a father to this beautiful, perfect baby girl. You know, and I wish I could tell you that coming into the end of 2025, I'm going into 2026 and feeling excited and prepared and like I'm already ahead, I got plans and all that stuff. I'm not gonna lie, I probably lean a little bit more toward the overwhelmed. I can be tempted to look at all the things that I need to do, all the responsibilities that are on my shoulders, on my plate, all the problems that I feel like I need to solve, the issues and obstacles I need to fix, all the stuff that needs to be done. I can be tempted to think about myself. But God is so gently reminding me, Andrew, remember my faithfulness. You are here where you're standing right now by my grace alone. My grace brought you here, and my grace will carry you through. And I'm taking you to a good place. Right? I look at my life and I cannot deny that God has carried me through this year. He's guided me and challenged me and taught me, informed me, and changed me in ways that I never could have imagined, I never could have planned for. But I can testify that what He had planned for me was far more beautiful, far more like healing and restorative to my soul than anything I could have imagined. So my invitation to you all is to remember, wherever you're at in life, whatever you're feeling, whether it's excitement and ambition, that's awesome. If it's discouragement and overwhelm, I'm with you. But the truth remains that God is God over our lives no matter what. And He invites us to remember that He has always held us in His hands and He will carry us through. So we can look forward with hope, with surrender and trust that the best has yet to come. And that He's inviting us just to take that next step, to walk with Him. So would you stand to your feet with me? And the verse that comes to mind is from John 10, where Jesus says, I am the good shepherd. I am the good shepherd. That's my invitation for us. So wherever you are, if you feel comfortable or however you would like to pray, I invite you to close your eyes, open your hands, and to remember the faithfulness of the Good Shepherd. That we are just sheep, and we think we know what's important, and we think we know where we're headed, and we think we know how to get there, but at the end of the day, we have a good shepherd who is watching over us and guiding us, and it's not up to us. And we can rest in His faithfulness, and we can rest in His leadership. And the beautiful invitation is just to walk with our Good Shepherd. So would you take a moment as your hands are open to release your 2026 to God? God, this is yours. This is your life. And Lord, I remember how faithful you've been. I remember how you have never left me, how you've carried me through. And I trust you. Even now, could you pray, God, would you bring to mind all the ways that you have been faithful? And as you're preparing to take some time to remember, meet up with friends or family to look on your year, ask God, show me, Lord. Show me how you've been faithful. Show me how you've never let me go. Show me how you've been working, even far beyond that I can see. Lord, help me to remember your faithfulness. Because, Lord, I want to walk with you. So I'm going to give you guys a moment with the Lord to remember his faithfulness and to trust him as we prepare to walk into 2026. And in a moment, Chris can come up, lead us in a song to respond.